So why did I choose to live in Sendai in Miyagi Prefecture of all the places in Japan? Despite the fact that your choices are going to depend on where you're going to work, a lot of companies will still give you a little bit of a choice on where exactly you want to live in Japan. When my husband came over here to work, we got the option to pick which prefecture we wanted to be placed in. Our number one choice was Miyagi Prefecture. So why exactly? When I told some of my friends and acquaintances that I was moving to Japan, of course the number one question is going to be, where are you going to live, where are you going to live? A lot of people do bring up Tokyo, and you have a lot of people bringing up Osaka, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Fukuoka, a lot of cities that a lot of people would be more familiar with if they weren't super familiar with Japan. Not a lot of people think of Sendai. And as sad as it is, not a lot of people have thought about Sendai, especially before the 2011 tsunami and earthquake disaster. I feel like a lot of people really love Tokyo, really love Osaka, basically anywhere in the south where you're gonna have Mount Fuji and all these very famous shrines. So why did I pick Sendai, Japan or Miyagi, Japan? So in fall of 2013, I was just starting my junior year of college, and I basically heard an announcement that my school would be taking a trip to Japan. I did not know where in Japan at this point, the trip, where we were gonna go, but I signed up and I did my essays for the trip, and I got a spot on the trip to go, and so did at my time fiance, but now husband. He also went along on this trip with me. The trip was actually to Miyagi Prefecture, actually north of Sendai in a little town called Shiogama. Now northeast of Sendai City is where a lot of places got hit the hardest from the tsunami and the earthquake. Now not only was this school trip cultural and educational, we were also there to provide tsunami and earthquake relief. Even though we were there about 3 years after the disaster had happened, there was still a lot to be done. We spent a lot of time in temporary houses with older people who got displaced from the disaster. We traveled to an oyster farm up in northern Miyagi near Ishinomaki to help a fellow clean up some of his oyster farm that was still really badly damaged from the disaster 3 years prior to this trip. And this trip was the first time I was ever in Japan. We basically landed in Tokyo and went straight to Sendai on the Shinkansen, so most of what I knew of Japan was in Sendai and was in Miyagi-ken. A lot of people always say this, but the first city and the first place that you spend a lot of time in Japan is usually the one that you're most nostalgic about and the one you like the most. That's just how it is. I'm a very nostalgic person, so I liked it here, and I liked that you could also be in the city and also in the country at the same time. Hi, little pigeon. Besides my first trip to Japan, mostly being in Miyagi and in Sendai, there are still more reasons other than that why we love living here and why we've lived here for over a year now. I like that I can live as far out in the country that I do, but also very easily just get on a train and travel 30 minutes to Sendai and have all of the shopping and all the tall buildings and all of the fun, cool stuff to do. And you know, at the end of the afternoon, I can get right back on a train and go to my little quiet little town, and I like that a lot. And I feel like if you live in Tokyo as the prefecture, you can have that somewhat, but it's going to take so much longer to get from like dead city to super quiet country. I also like the weather in Sendai a lot. You get all 4 seasons, and it's not like you live in Okinawa where it's summer all the time, or up in Sapporo, Hokkaido where it's winter half the year. You get a really good balance of you know, the snowy season, the rainy season. If you love the heat, love humid summers, this is a good place for you. Japan in generally is. My thing is just like Tokyo and south of Tokyo is so hot. It's so hot, and a lot of those places don't see snow as much as you would see them in Sendai. And I'm a big fan of snow. Not like a Sapporo big fan of snow, but I do like snow. So Sendai is just the perfect climate personally for me. Another thing I like about Sendai is how easily accessible it is to the rest of Japan. I can get to Tokyo so easily. I can get on a bus and stay on the bus for about 5.5 hours, and I'm in Tokyo if I ever want to go there for a weekend or vacation or something like that. There's a really nice airport in Sendai as well where I can fly to Osaka, I can fly to Fukuoka, I can fly to Sapporo, I can go all these other places very easily. It's an hour flight to Sapporo. Ooh, I have a bug on my face. Okay. An hour flight to Sapporo, it's less than an hour and a half to Osaka. And as a fan of both those cities, I like kind of being right in the middle where I can easily get to them, no problem. Now, Sendai may be a city of over 1 million people, but I still feel like there's a real sense of community in a place like Miyagi-Ken and Sendai in general. I don't know if I would quite like it as much in the bigger cities. You have about 10 million people in Tokyo, and for me that would just be way too much for me personally. I think 1 million people in a city, as far as Japan's cities are concerned, is a really nice population. Sendai is just so convenient because everything you need is right in one place. You know, all of the shops that I like to go to pick up anime goods or makeup or clothes. I don't have to take 10 million trains to get all around the city like I would have to do in bigger cities. I guess people a lot of times say, oh, Sendai, why would I go to Sendai? What is there for me to do there? There's a lot of really good stuff, but it's just not as maybe bright or vibrant or as advertised as stuff in Osaka and Tokyo. 3 things off the top of my head that I think are incredible to do if you ever have a chance to come to Sendai. Go up to Zao Mountain, go look at the Okuma crater. I did a video on that. It's just a really cool experience that I don't think I've ever seen anything as beautiful anywhere else in Japan than going up to Zao Mountain. Same with Matsushima, which I also did a video on a couple months ago. Matsushima is still one of the most beautiful places in Japan I've been in. And I haven't been into a lot of prefectures. I've only been in Miyagi, Fukushima, Tochigi, Tokyo, Osaka, and Hokkaido. But maybe I need to get out more and look at more things, but nothing has beaten the beauty of Miyagi, to be honest with you. If you're into super historical stuff, we have all sorts of Date Masamune museums and statues and shrines. If you're looking for a historical experience, Sendai is the perfect place to come to. But yeah, overall, I like the size of Sendai. It's not as big as Tokyo. It's not as big as Osaka. It's not even, I don't even think it's in the top 10 or 15 biggest cities in Japan. But yeah, I even think that nostalgic factor aside, I do think that Sendai is the best city in Japan. If you guys have any questions about Miyagi-Ken or Sendai or the surrounding areas, please pop your questions down below in the comments. I would love to get to them and love to answer any questions you may have about Sendai. I don't know how long I'm going to be living in Japan, honestly, but as long as I am able to choose where I want to live, it will probably still be in Miyagi-Ken, if not, you know, just Tohoku in general, the Tohoku region. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like if you enjoyed it, and let me know what other videos do you want me to do. Thanks for watching, and I will play with you some other time.